Now, joining me for the news review this morning, I have three guests, and they'll be joining me over the next 30 plus minutes. First off, we have Dr. Paul Dankwa. He is government spokesperson on governance and security. Kofi Akpaloo is founder, leader, Liberal Party of Ghana. Kwame Botsio is secretary, independent committee of the CPP. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. For the sake of maximizing time, I would ask that you be pretty succinct, brief in your thoughts, be as analytical as possible, but please, let me just put it this way, no unnecessary politics. Let's speak for Mother Ghana, and if you go a certain way, I will heckle you, just so you know. All right, so I'll take your 1 minute thoughts each right before we delve into the papers. Kofi Akpaloo, I'll start with you. Anything on your mind that you'd like to share with us this morning, like we usually do?
What is on my mind this morning is how young men out there find it very difficult to have access to capital to start their own businesses. That is something that is bothering me. And because I could say you have a lot of young men and women out there who have visions, but they don't know where to go and get support to kickstart. To turn their visions into fruition. Yeah, that's what is bothering me.
What do you think can be done about it? As someone aspiring to be president someday, what do you think? What would you do to better that situation?
Yeah, what I would have done is to form capital by mobilizing Ghanaians who have the money to come together to set up a fund to support young people with vision, to turn Ghana into a land of opportunities. I believe that if you are able to pull, let's say, 1 million Ghanaians together, and then you ask them this morning if they can invest 100 cedis each, you are definitely going to raise 100 million cedis this morning. What about if they can invest 500 cedis? It's 500 million cedis. So you can have that money to support any project that you want to embark upon. And I think capital formation has been a problem with us here, and because we always rely on foreign direct investors to bring in money to invest and take everything away. But it's something that we should look at, how we can collectively come together, put monies together to share risks and share returns. And then that's the way forward to create capital, to create wealth in every society.
All right, I'll come to Paul Grave.
Benjamin, a very good morning to you and a very good morning to your listeners and viewers. This morning I'll go very biblical.
You'll do what?
Go very biblical.
Feel free. Your 1 minute is running though.
Focusing on 2 Timothy chapter 4 verse 7.
Right.
Which emphasizes that I have fought the good fight. I have
finished the race.
Course, and I have kept the faith.
Right.
And so those are my reflections this morning, that in all of life as we prepare to meet our maker, and someday we would be able to say that indeed we have fought a good fight, we have kept the faith, and we have finished the course.
Okay. That's a pretty popular biblical verse that you just put out. Thank you for that. You have given us something to reflect on. Kwame, you have the final word on that.
I want to greet your listeners and also the leadership of this country. God strengthen them to do a good work. What I have to say, coincidentally, is a combination of what Mr. Akpaloo and Dr. Palgrave said. I would also start with 2 Kings 4:25, which says that in the days of Solomon, everybody had their own house and their own garden. So basically, the ambition of every nation is for everybody to be economically independent. And to tie that in with the mid-year budget review, it was a time of great unity in the House of Parliament. And I think that any party that succeeds will benefit the whole country. And what I believe the concentration should be on is what Mr. Akpaloo said on access to finance for the youth. And by the youth, I would want to limit it to the millennials and the Gen Z generation, because they are the ones going to take over one day. If we are able to empower them financially with access to interest-free loans, and also to unite them with other Gen Z and millennials across the sub-region and the continent, Africa will be shining in the next few years. That's what I have to say.
Thank you very much. I have to respond to this message earlier. I wouldn't go back, but Sally Nasiruddin says, good morning, Akakpo. I'm watching you live from Wale Wale. And you say, because of you, it makes me happy to watch Joy News more. I just had to acknowledge him. Thank you so much. I'm glad that I'm able to do something that makes you want to watch. But we now get into our newspapers and tackle what they have. Maybe if we have a little bit of time at the end, I'll bring through some of the other pertinent matters that have come up. But I'll start with you, Kwame. What papers do you have? What stories are you going to
I have the ABC News and Daybreak. And I would start with the ABC News.
Yeah, well, we must start with the alphabet.
I will start with the presentation by Dr. Amin Adam in Parliament yesterday.
Media budget.
The media budget. I read through, and I think he did a fairly good job in that light. And however, the only thing I would disagree with him on is the reintroduction of the road tolls. The road tolls were abolished to make way for the e-levy. So if you are going to reintroduce the road tolls, are you going to abolish the e-levy? This is I believe it is not the best thing to abolish something to replace it with another thing and then try and take it, bring it back. The road tolls abolishment has also helped with the traffic situation. Now you can move freely throughout the country without the traffic, which being in traffic in itself is something that affects the economy. So I think he should take another look at that. And to go to Daybreak, the police houses commissioned by His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I believe the security services are people that we should always pay attention to. And I think I am happy about that. And it is a step in the right direction. But I believe that more should also be done. The salaries of the security services should be looked at. It should be looked at. They are furthering education. There should be special scholarship schemes for them because these people work around the clock and deserve the best.
Right. Those are interesting points you bring up. You know, anywhere, if you pay the people well, they will not be forced to do some of the other things that they may do. I see a lot of corruption in different parts of our country. And sometimes these public sector workers, you investigate their salaries and you can almost, it is not right, but you can almost understand why they do some of the things they do. Because honestly, under this economy, where one tomato is what, 5 cedis or so, if you look at someone's salary, in fact, transportation alone has consumed that salary. What would that person use to feed? What that person used to pay for utilities? If the person has a wife and children or a husband and children, how will they? So the dynamics are stark. The road toll bit, indeed, especially the place where I get to feel it the most is heading to Tema or Spintex or somewhere if I choose to use the motorway. It's much freer. You just cross and you are gone. It makes sense.
It does.
You can toll some roads, yes. But the Tema motorway, for example, now we say we are doing all the other work we are doing in the twilight of this administration. The road tolls we've collected for decades. What have we really used those road tolls for? Plus, you said we're bringing in the e-levy. So we're taking away the road tolls. Now you turn around. I agree with you. Makes no sense to me on that point. But it is what it is. And I keep saying that we are overly tolerant as a people with our leaders, regardless of where they are from, NDC, NPP. And that is why sometimes they run roughshod over us. But another matter for reflection, as I come to you, Kofi Akpalu, for your paper, you would notice that in terms of our public debt, by end of year 2023, it stood at 608.4 billion Ghana cedis. You would think, IMF program and all of that, so would rein in more. At the end of June 2024, it stood at 742 billion. We've added on another 133.6 billion in 6 months.
The addition, the add-on is a translation. Just a translation, because you've converted it from dollar to cedi. So it's not that the government has added additional loans, but because of translation purposes, because it's dollar to cedi. So before, the dollar was, say, 12 cedis, and now it's 15 cedis or 16 cedis, thereabout. So when you...
It's not only the translation that accounts for this.
No, because when you look at the 700 billion...
I am saying it's not only the translation that
Yeah,
accounts
but that's my understanding. You know, this is my understanding. Because you said earlier on that we should be nationalistic today, we shouldn't be political and whatever. I'm just being nationalistic. So I want to stay in that territory. Being more Ghanaian, I want to say that this one is...
I don't know whether you're being more Ghanaian, but you go ahead.
This one is because of the dollar and cedi relationship. So, because when you report it in cedis, definitely it will be higher. But when you go back to dollar, you see that it stays the same where it was.
Who is supposed to regulate that, though?
Which one?
The exchange rate.
Oh, that's the work of the ministry, the finance ministry, because...
It's the work of government.
It's the work of the ministry, finance ministry, plus the IMF. You see, since 1992, this IMF have been directing us as to what to do, that we should keep on devaluing our currency. And it's something that we should look at. It's something that is destroying this economy. And it's something that we should all be aware of.
Let me just make this correction, though. Our economy is not run by the IMF. You suggested at the start that our government and the IMF. The IMF, if you go to them, they'll give you guidelines. It is our program supported by the IMF. It is not an IMF program. It is our program. We say that, okay, now, like what happened with some promises that were made on ECG and the rest, they didn't force us to do that. We went ahead and said that we want to raise money through these ways. So don't get it twisted. The IMF doesn't run our economy.
They do.
We do.
The IMF does, in the sense that currently the Cocoa Board, they are looking for monies to pay off those road contractors on all those debts on their neck. They need approval from IMF before they can go ahead and borrow. You understand? So if IMF is not...
What borrowing are you talking about?
Yeah, they need 400
the
billion.
syndicated loan or...
No, not the syndicated loan. You see, because of some of the stuff that Cocoa Board has taken upon itself, like supporting our road networks and all those kind of things. So there has been a whole lot of debt on Cocoa Board,
right,
which is affecting their operations. So they want to take that burden off them. And because of that, they need IMF approval before they can raise
the only reason I don't want us to belay the point. The only reason that is coming up is because we have made commitments. We made those commitments. They didn't force us. It's not the IMF now going to say we are going to approve. It's because we said we will do this, and so they are merely holding us to it. So you're acting as though the IMF were doing. They are not.
Don't exonerate them. They are part. They are part and parcel of our problem.
Well.
My brother, I'm being honest, yeah? Ghana here, maybe sometimes you're afraid to talk about all these things, but the truth of the matter is that IMF is also part of the problem that we are going through as a country. We shouldn't overlook side of that. They are one of the problems, though MPP and NDC are the problems. But IMF is also part when it comes to our financial issues.
All right.
You know, they will lend you money. They will not lend you money to build factories. Would they lend you money to build factories?
Will they what?
Would they lend you money to build factories? IMF. Would they give Ghana money? Oh, take this money, build factories, so that it can add value.
We're a member of the IMF, right? We're a member. We're a contributor. So when we're in dire straits, if we meet certain requirements, we'll get them. But did the IMF say, oh, Ghana, by force, come, because, you know, we want to supervise a program for you? That is what I am saying. I agree with you only to the extent that I feel sometimes the IMF is hypocritical.
Necessarily.
Under the NDC, there were times where you could see clearly some things are not going well. The IMF will be, mollycoddling, pussyfooting. Under this administration, I was in the Netherlands, was it just about 2 years ago, at the Global Climate Adaptation. I'm sure you remember that famous interview. And members of the MPP were using that, Kristalina Georgieva said that, what is happening in Ghana, if I recall correctly, they are due to exogenous shocks and COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine war. I'm sorry, a lot of tosh. Because everybody had seen from 2017, 2018, 2019, when the writing was on the wall. You are over-borrowing. You are doing this. You are doing that. You will end up in a ditch. It wasn't about, how about the other countries that went through, say, right here in Africa, in West Africa, whose economies have grown much better than ours have, whose cost of living is far lower, whose exchange rate is far better, whose inflation is far lower, whose governments are not facing what we are facing. How about that? That is where I will agree with you. The hypocrisy sometimes, why they can't say the truth, regardless of whose ox is God. This journey you're on, then they will come and, yes, diplomacy and all of that. It doesn't help us because our leaders feed into that and they continue with that nonsense, so to speak. Do you have any reactions before we get back to him and his?
Well, yes. I mean, just to state that the road tolls and the e-levy comparison, you know, in the media review, the minister stated that government has invested close to about 10 billion Ghana cedis in the road sector, and the road tolls, the new roads that are going to be tolled, is going to begin in 2025. And that was what the minister stated. And the future government of this country, under the leadership of Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has stated very clearly that e-levy would be abolished. And so I'm very confident that when Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia assumes office as President of the Republic of Ghana from 2025, and the new roads are going to be tolled, e-levy will be a thing of the past. So that will be.
So the e-levy can only be abolished in 2025, but even in the mid-year budget review, somehow it can't be abolished, right?
No, you see, the e-levy was for a particular purpose, and it was not just for roads. It was for a lot more infrastructural work. And you recall when we had the e-levy conversation and reduced the amounts from 1.5% to 1% now as we charge it for a number of infrastructural work. And as a result of that,
because you are, as the French will say,
we have invested,
that's why they did that
about 10 billion Ghana cedis in the road sector, a number of road infrastructural works that are ongoing in this country at the moment, a number of them, plethora of them, that if you give me time, I can be able to list them.
We don't have that time. I'm sure the people who are listening will be able to give us feedback and tell us whether all these roads are actually under. Some of them.
Absolutely.
You know,
I mean, a number of these roads, you are aware that
anyway.
they are under construction as we speak now. And so for me, I think that is very critical that we do the proper analysis. The road tolls would come in 2025 in the future government of this country under the leadership of His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who has stated very clearly that e-levy will be abolished. The number of taxes as well will be abolished during his tenure. And I think that is important that we put all those in context as we discuss these road sector impacts that we have made as a country.
I see. So we have Tete Zuta asking, but who asked you to go to the IMF? Only a failed country will be blaming the IMF. That's what Tete Zuta says. But speaking of these, though, I remember this tweet. It goes way back in time. The 16th of November, 2013, Gabi Otredako. According to the majority leader, increasing VAT rate by 2.5% is not a major policy issue for Ghana. So they sprung it on the people Friday. Then one Razia Khan comes to say, but Ghana needs to mobilize more revenue. No, pay attention. No. Ghana needs to mobilize more revenue. No. And Gabi Otredako responds, it's a government of, pardon my using the word, nincompoops, whose only prescription is to borrow and spend recklessly to borrow and pay debt. Watch the debt bomb. I guess the chickens have come home to roost. So my question to you, why do we still have the COVID-19 levy, as was posed on the day in Parliament? We are the only country in the world. I think COVID-19, you know,
well, I don't know.
Madam Osayasari is saying that some people are still taking COVID-19 jabs. So we should.
I don't know if we are the only country in the world.
You are the only country in the world.
I don't know that. I
you
don't know what
know.
data you are referring to.
I see.
But I mean, just before I come to the COVID-19, the Draboso Bwanza ongoing roads, the Winneba Kaswa roads, Karaga Town roads, Goshegu Town roads, Tolon Daboya roads, Nanton Karaga Goshegu Highway, Seshuyi also Town roads, Accra Kumasi Highway. All of these are roads that are ongoing.
Okay.
I mean,
for those of you who live in these areas, catchment areas, just shoot me messages.
Yes, a number of completed ones. That yes, so Menshia,
thank you. Just shoot me messages on the state of
roads,
these roads, and let's have a discussion.
All of these roads are ongoing. I mean, so
COVID-19 quickly. So I go back
quickly.
to
you see, I think that for us as a government, one of our overarching goal is to see to it that whenever we have external shocks, we have enough more revenue to be able to take care of that. And I mean, in as much as COVID-19 is out of the woods globally, there are still people that are having COVID-19, people that didn't take the jobs, people that took the jobs. I had COVID-19 in 2021, was at Ridge Hospital for 30 days. I almost lost my life. And so when I go to buy things and I see that the COVID-19 tax is being taken, I'm like, okay, well, it may save a few more people in the future and contribute a lot more to any global issue that may happen in the near future. But
So let me ask you, right now, what are we using the COVID funds for? What are we using them for?
I can't speak to it right now on what we're using the funds for, but I'm aware that we're collating these funds for a lot more buffer stock in terms of any global issues that may happen in the future.
So you're saying we're keeping the money?
Well, that's why I said that.
Because one thing I have not known this administration for is to keep money to use for anything.
Oh, you can't say that.
You came and benefited from ESLA, the APFA, all those. This administration has never saved money for any. You can give me one example. Give me one example.
Even from the time when you stated that we were borrowing, we kept this economy running afloat on a single digit from 2017, 2018, 2019.
It was only a matter of time before the bubble would burst.
You cannot say that it was only a matter of time.
It was only a matter of time. If you know any economics, you know it's only a matter of time. It wouldn't immediately start.
Pick COVID-19, pick Russia's invasion of Ukraine, put that same situation into the NDC government from 2008 to 2016 and see whether they could have survived it. I mean, I think that, you should isolate the issues very well. Pick COVID-19, pick Russia's invasion of Ukraine, drop that same scenario into the NDC as well government from 2008
You've forgotten that they had Doomso. You've forgotten that there was Ebola. You've forgotten that they had oil price crises. You've forgotten that every administration in this Fourth Republic has had its own issue. It doesn't have to be a global pandemic.
Absolutely, but it is.
Russia, Ukraine, how has it impacted your economy? To the point where the Russians had to correct you in Ghana that stopped using their name. Do you remember?
No, please.
Do you remember?
No, you see.
The Russian embassy in Ghana had to come and tell you guys, stop using our name.
No.
We are not the cause of your woes.
No, Lizzie. We are talking as though Ghana is in isolation of global issues. Okay. Ghana is never.
This is a battle I will not win because I know how
Ghana is not in
your members have been conditioned. But let me ask you. Let me ask you.
You asked that we should be patriotic.
Let me just ask you.
And I'm being patriotic.
Do you know how much we've raised from COVID-19 so far?
I don't have the records available.
Okay, Kofi Akwalu, back to you. Let's do your paper.
Yeah,
we are done with Kwame Potio's papers. Let's do your paper.
I think there was something that I didn't comment on. That is the.
It has to be brief because of time.
The toll, and then the COVID, the e-levy. I don't want it to be abolished.
You don't want what?
I don't want the e-levy to be abolished.
Okay.
Maybe we can use the money for something better, because people have come to accept it. So maybe either we reduce the rate.
No. Let me correct you. People nowhere in no part of the world do people like taxes.
Yes,
it's because of systems. People have been forced to accept it.
Yes, so
they've not come to like or accept it.
That's what I'm saying. That initially nobody wanted it, but now it has become part and parcel of us. So I don't want to see the government abolishing that tax. We should keep it and then use the money for something beneficial to the state. Maybe we can use that money to finance the young people who want to go into business. You can use that money and say, okay, this money, we are using it to build a fund. Any young person who wants to start a business, you can go here and pick some seed capital to kickstart your idea. I think it will help. And then also the reintroduction of the road levy. I think everybody, I have not seen anybody opposing it at the moment. But what I would suggest to them is that they should include in that new law that the rate should automatically be increased by, say, 1 cedi every beginning of every year. Automatically, it should go up, let's say, by 50 pesos or 1 cedi every year. You don't need we don't need to wait till, say, 5 years, 10 years before we review the rate and all those stuff. So every year, automatically, it should go up by, say, 50 pesos or 1 cedi. It will help us so that we will rake in good money to maintain our roads. I think.
Okay, so on that point, Kwame Wotu, I don't know whether you're interested. Just a quick one before he comes in. You do know that they have suggested some electronic way of going about the road tolls and all of that. We've torn down, if you use the Tema stretch and other stretches, we've torn down the facilities we had up there. Do you have any idea how this will be done?
Well, I've witnessed this in other countries. And even in Ghana, there's this card that you can get that when you pass through, the barriers go up.
Some institutions have them, some...
Yes. And even at a point, I wanted to purchase one, but I realized that special lane with the cards was not working. So there was no use getting it. And to add to that, I believe that it's better you get good roads than more roads. If you look at the Accra-Tema motorway, it is still one of the best roads that we have in Ghana, it was constructed by the CPP. However, I use it almost every day. I even used it yesterday. And it is a death trap if you look at the holes in it. You know, recently I did a quick trip to the UK. And we were watching TV and they showed a remote village. And we saw one pothole. And we all screamed, a pothole in the UK. You see, I'd become so used to the mediocrity in this country and on our roads that I assumed it was normal to be swerving potholes and then jumping all over the place. Until I hadn't been to the UK for a long time. Until I got there and I saw that we saw one pothole and all of us in the hall jumped.
And you jumped because it was a rarity. But don't even go far to go to our backyard, Rwanda, go to South Africa, go to Namibia, Botswana.
Exactly.
You will not see there what you see here.
Exactly. So whichever revenue is being raised for the roads should be used to fix the existing roads rather than have more roads. To what end? Our maintenance culture is zero. And any country that does not have a good maintenance culture is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. We are still relying on facilities provided by the CPP up to date. Look at the quality of the motorway, even in its bad state. Look at its quality. With all this money that they are using on the roads, within 6 months, after a few rains, a lot of the new roads after rains...
And we all know why. Let's go back to Kwame Akpalu. But we all know why that happens. Because the contract, there's a kickback.
Exactly.
The contractor is not using the right amount. Of course, they'll cut down on quality. And roads that should last at least 15, 20, 30 years, after 2 years, they go bad.
Exactly.
And I caught you snickering a bit when I said, it's just because while you may find, like he did in the UK, once in a while, a few places here and there in some of these countries that I've mentioned, a place like Mauritius, for example, you wouldn't see it on the scale where major road, town, middle of center of town, potholes everywhere. It's such a shame.
It is.
Kofi, over to you.
Yeah, you see, I was so happy.
Let's get into your paper. We can't. Let's go into your
just
paper.
a small one. I was so happy when you mentioned Rwanda, use Rwanda as an example, that they have good roads and whatever. You know, do you know how much they charge for a road toll?
I don't care. If we were getting the right things here, people would be willing to pay.
Yeah.
We are being charged. We are not getting the results. It makes no sense.
For your information, I want you to just Google and find out how much they charge.
When was the last time you were in Rwanda?
Yeah, even just today, it's $176.
When was the last time you were in Rwanda?
No, I said just today, it's $176 for large trucks to pass, and then $150 for small trucks.
Is that for a year or for what?
No, for just a passing. And then Uganda is $10. Uganda is $10
if
for
a truck
100
is
kilometers.
paying almost $200 for one load, one offloading. I don't know. There must be some dynamics that will guarantee that. How much are they making? What profit are they making from what they are doing? So you can't. I seriously contest.
No. You just
information you are putting.
You see
out.
The information.
Let's not
every day.
Let's not
information are online these days.
Our viewers.
Because you see,
that's why I was asking. When was the last time you were in
Rwanda? We have this problem as Ghanaians. No matter who is in government, we always try to condemn who is in government. Government. But we as citizens, we don't want to contribute to make the work of government easy. You know, because you see, in the few minutes ago, my brother on my right, you know he's my brother, yeah? We are all from Volta region. So he is saying that this road to everything must be taken off, you know. At the same time, he's also looking for good roads. How do you get the good roads? When you compare UK, you mentioned the UK, yeah?
Yes,
UK, you know, they pay road tax. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware. But
Okay.
I'm sure.
Yeah, they pay road tax. Apart from roadworthy.
Yeah.
Apart from roadworthy, you pay road tax. But here, do you pay road tax?
No.
We don't pay road tax. Okay? So we need to look at why are we not able to maintain our roads the way it's supposed to be?
Kofi Akpaloo,
Because we're not collecting enough.
I think you've completely deviated from the point.
Okay, maybe.
When I spoke about road tolls, I never said, for me, first of all,
Yeah.
I never understood why they took the road tolls off.
Okay.
Made no sense to me in the first place.
I agree with you.
My point was, you said because of the e-levy, you were taking away the road tolls, which is what yesterday when we went out there and spoke to people, they were reiterating. So why are you bringing it back? Don't misquote me.
Okay.
But the other point, I keep saying this, I don't think we're understanding it.
Okay.
It's not about paying tax. Like I said, in other jurisdictions, they even compel you. Some places, there's nobody manning the place. It's electronic. You get the OPA,
Exactly.
you get the consequences. But in those places, if I fall today, someone was telling me a story only yesterday about someone who fell. You know, some of these iWatches nowadays and all of that, it sends, you can link it, it sends a message to the health services and all of that.
Yeah.
Within a few minutes, the person fell. Nothing serious, but a message had been sent. The health services were there. Was it fire service or something, like paramedics? People had come on the spot. Because a message had been sent, and these people, that is where if you are charging me an arm and a leg, I know that if something is happening to me now, Ghana ha ufi be by the time a fire service be do na shit not because we should blame the fire service. I know of their logistical problems. How many fire tenders do they have? The hydrants where they will get water and all of that. How many are working? So sometimes we want to, it is the fundamental problem. So don't tell me about, it's not about wanting to pay. If we will get the returns of payment, people will want to pay. Exactly. But I pay.
Exactly.
My roads are still bad. It's nonsensical. Fuel prices are high. And you expect me to still want to pay. How does that make any sense? That's the point you seem not to be getting. Let's get into your paper, the Anchor newspaper. Let's go.
Yeah, this one is forcing me to go into the papers.
Well, unless you don't want to do the papers, you have to.
Because, okay, I think I saw something in this one. I think the government has, I don't know whether it's introduction or just change of name or something like that.
So which one is it that you...
I think it's the Finder. Oh, where is it?
Sometimes the stories play this kind of game with you where maybe they say it's on this page, but
okay, page 5.
All right.
That's the local news. It said 150,000 to 50 million available to SMEs under new fund. And I think it's a report from Daniel Nano, by Daniel Nano. Okay. It says they are setting up 8.2 billion Ghana cedis fund for small and medium enterprises growth and opportunity program. So the government just announced this, and we can have access to these monies. So I don't know how they are going to communicate very well for the young people who can go and access, and how they are going to access this fund without going through partisan way. Like if you are not MPP, you won't get it, because this is laudable idea, because it's something that I want to see happening in Ghana, that people can easily get access to capital and start business, so that young people can get jobs. But when it comes to disbursement, you go there and they want to see whether you are an MPP before you can get this.
Forget even NPP or NDC. It's about people closest to power. You've seen that recent expose by Okudzeto Ablakwa. And while I'll not mention names, we have, trust me, if we mopped up all the millions of dollars in people who walk, the corridors of power in their homes this very minute, and we also looked at all the contracts, the shady ones that we have, Ghana would have no business. We would probably be giving money to the IMF. The IMF wouldn't have to give money to us. I keep saying we are such a people that I don't get it. And we've become so polarized that if the MPP is doing something and we all know this is wrong, because some people feel, oh, what kills me? Oh, MPP nearly try me through NDC nearly. It means you can't think beyond your MPP and your NDC. Mm-hmm. So we end up in a ditch. You know what they say, when the blind lead the blind, they end up in a ditch. But one good old professor, my senior man who often watches the show and shares thoughts with me, he just shared a link with me. Prof, I know you don't like my mentioning your name, so good morning to you, but thanks for the data. Rwanda charges a fixed rate of $76 for small trucks and $152 for large trucks, while Uganda charges $10 per every 100 kilometers. Exactly. Because it doesn't make sense to me that you pass once and you pay. There's no possibility. 100 kilometers is a long... Relax. Tanzania is charging more than $156 per truck, which some say is very expensive. But if you look at 100 kilometers... Is
it for 1 month or for 2 days or for 100
kilometers?
No, I'm talking about the 150, the $176.
And I'm saying that what I'm seeing here is 100 kilometers. I want to believe it applies across the board.
100 kilometers is for Uganda.
And I'm saying there's a comparative here.
Okay.
It cannot be that, obviously, if one is passing through once and paying that, and the other is doing 100 kilometers, they wouldn't be comparing them. Do you get it? It would be like comparing apples and oranges. So it can't possibly be that you pass once and pay almost $200. It's not possible. In Africa, it's not possible.
In Africa.
So let's even, because when you said it, I could tell. I mean, we go to some of these places. We have friends in some of these places. Even in Mauritius and others, they don't charge this. So let's not misinform.
No, okay. And then when you travel from New York, when you travel from New York to...
Now we've headed to New York.
No, I'm just giving you said you can pay more than that. Then I'm asking you if you
I specified Africa. I specified Africa, unless you didn't hear me.
If you are traveling from New York to Atlanta, do you know how much you pay?
You're traveling from coast to coast, and you're asking me how much you pay? Like coast to coast? Like seriously, Kofi Akpalu? You're traveling from coast to coast, and you're going through all these points, and you're asking me how much you would have paid cumulatively. Is that even a question? Kofi Akpalu.
Okay, let our people also understand.
You're traveling from one coast to another coast in the United States.
You know, let's educate our people very well that we pay for good things, so that everybody should have it at the back of their mind. That when government is collecting something from you, then you can also demand something from the state that you should have good rules. But if you don't pay anything, how do you expect to get that good rules?
I don't know what your reflections are on that. No, so you're done with the new finder, or you're done with?
I'm not seeing anything interesting.
Okay. I pray the editor of the new finder newspaper doesn't hear you this morning.
Yes. I was surprised when you mentioned that Kigali, Gaborone, and Johannesburg, South Africa, and all those countries don't have potholes.
I never said. I quickly clarified that they don't have it to the extent that we do.
I'm glad
they have much better roads.
Yes, but in the midst of them having much better roads, they also have very bad roads. Very, very bad roads.
Even in the US, there are some roads that...
Very much. So I don't want... You said we should be patriotic. I don't want us to be here and paint Ghana as a place where there are excessive bad roads. There are very good roads, very, very good roads, and we can praise the government for that, successive governments for that.
Name 10 wonderful roads in Ghana.
Oh, I can name them, right.
I can help him.
Oh, I can.
No. Let him name them.
I will name what we're even constructing.
And don't name any ones that have been done before.
Oh, but I can name.
Go ahead.
Oh, go to Dabiase. Esikem, Meshia, go to Entry Chikrom, Debra Camp, and others. Go to Sunyani, Brekum, Inner City. Why are you laughing? Go to
Why can't I laugh anymore?
You said I should name. I've even named more than 5. Go to Draboso, Boanze going roads. Go to Winneba Kaswa Road. Go to Karaga.
Winneba Kaswa Road.
Yes, go to Tolon, Daboya.
Winneba Kaswa Road.
No, he said you are working on it.
Go to Nanton, Karaga.
You are mentioning roads that are being worked on. You are not talking. I say mention.
Go to Accra, Kumasi, Pokwase.
Mention
Pokwase. Just look.
Top class roads.
Look at the Pokwase.
Pokwase.
Yes. Pokwase.
This incomplete one.
But we at least we finished phase
Your
1.
best roads. Let me help you. The best roads you have. Interestingly, one of them is still the Tema motorway.
No,
Which, no, hold for me. Hold for me. Let me make my point. Let me make my point.
Has done. It's a link.
Some of the best roads we have.
It's a link.
You still have the Tema motorway.
We still have
and
N1.
for the life of me, I cannot get why a concrete road is being patched with bitumen, asphalt and the rest.
Yeah,
it's one of the most, though I'm no architect or engineer, my father was, and I've interacted with some of these people, makes no sense. We've actually destroyed the road.
It's the work
Then
of engineers.
you have the N1 and those linkages, which were done before you.
Yeah.
Those are top-class roads. There are A-class roads. How many of them do we have?
Okay, if you take Anua contact to Obuasi, I don't know whether you've driven on that road recently.
Which one?
Anua contact to Obuasi.
I haven't, not in recent times.
Yeah, because before...
Kwame, I'll be coming to you shortly.
Yeah. Because before this government, you couldn't even ply that road. But when they assume power, they have done that road perfectly well. If you travel from Abrim, you know Abrim, in the eastern region, when you are going to Odan, there's a wonderful road that they've done there. And then from Boga to Boko. I don't know whether you've been there recently. Boga to Boko.
Not recently, but maybe about 2 years ago.
Yes. You see, there are a couple of roads that they've done, and they've done very, very well. If you go to Kumawu, if you go and see the roads that they've done there, and even from Kumawu to Sechere, that's Aguna, they have done a nice road to link them.
Let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
Are you contesting this year's election?
Yes, I am, because I'm being patriotic.
You sound more like an advocate for the MPP.
No, it's not. I'm not advocating. You see, Ghana, our problem with politics is that.
No, I'm not saying it's bad.
I'm
not saying it's bad.
The opponent.
I'm just saying.
I don't do that kind of politics. I will tell you what you have done, but I will also tell you what I will do. Because when I become president, there are more that I will do in this country to transform this country. Until then, I will not sit on radio, on TV, and just run down a government by saying they've not done anything. That kind of
I don't think
kind of politics is not in my blood.
Nobody here.
I see
Kwame, I'm coming to you.
I say to
nobody here.
Witchcraft.
You've said enough. Let me bring in Kwame.
Yeah.
Nobody here, and it's not possible for any administration close to 8 years to have done nothing. That is almost nonsensical.
Yeah.
It's like saying, when pigs fly. But the point is, when you look at how much has been borrowed, how much we've taken in, what we've done, that is when you can make a proper assessment. But coming to you, some of these issues, you've not spoken in a while. What do you make of some of these discussions? I don't know which roads you ply in Ghana and how good they are. You can share with us.
The nature of my job means I travel all the time. I am always on the move. And from experience and from my checks, these roads have an expiry date. Strangely, sometimes within 6 months, it's destroyed. These roads that he mentioned, especially the Anua Nkwanta to Obuasi road, it is almost impassable now. These roads are nicely made, very smooth. As I said, I travel a lot, but within no time at all, it's gone. I go to Kuforido a lot, Winneba.
Yeah, that's another place.
I go to so many of these places. You wake up one morning, the roads are so smooth. You go back in a few weeks and it's totally destroyed. We need sustainable roads. We do not need temporary roads. We cannot waste money on things that do not last. We owe it as a duty to successive generations to put down something that when it is their time, they don't have to reinvent the wheel or redo those things so that they can concentrate on other things. We keep on going back, building roads that get destroyed. We should just bite the bullet and then invest in the millennials and Gen Z, invest in roads that will last, build a strong foundation as this country was built on during the 50s and 60s, and everything else will work out. But what we are doing now, we are just wasting time in the name of winning elections. We just took a step back and then did the right thing.
My good old prof sends me another message clarifying, because I've not delved into it too much, but he says, if 100 kilometers costs $10, and I'm sure we are using some equivalents here, in those countries it may be slightly different because our exchange rate is much higher to the dollar and to the pound. It means it's 10 kilometers per $1, right? Every 10 kilometers is $1.
Yeah.
That's like going through town for how long? It means the 20-kilometer Tema motorway should cost $2, which is what he's saying, which is about 30 cedis. And he's asking, will we pay? Can we pay? He puts it will and can. It's not just the will, it's also the can.
Yeah, yeah.
How many people earn the equivalent of 30 cedis a day in Ghana?
Exactly.
So if you peg it at that, which other countries, because it's also about the purchasing power parity and all of that, can Ghanaians even pay? How many will be able
You cannot.
to pay it? That's one question. But something I'll throw in there, and this is from my production team. I don't want to mention whom, but I heard them, they talk to me, and they are saying that, Charlie, the Mile 7 roundabout area and the Apenkwa Junction area, Charlie, the places are bad. And the congestion, small stretch, short stretch, but the traffic. Someone was telling me the other day, a 5-minute stretch, you can spend hours.
It's very bad.
There.
Very bad.
So let's please communicate to your administration, Mile 7 roundabout, Apenkwa Junction, that Atomic is also there, but
we'll do that.
People need help.
The regional balances of the roads that we have done, and I'll share it with you because Ghana is not just Accra. You know, when you go to Ahafo region, there's a road called Dabia Suba in the Ahafo region. That road has been asphalted. When you go to Ashanti region, almost 100-kilometer road that has been constructed by contractor, and that is Asankare, Krofa, Dransa road, and then Bratuom Krum, and then we have upgraded the Mampong road as well. When you go to, it's important. Yeah, giving you regional balance.
Is the Swami one done though?
When you go to
the Swami one done?
Oh, I can mention if you want.
Just asking,
I can
is
focus
the Swami one done?
I can focus in Ashanti region.
But what you just said,
I can
what you just said is very, very
Let him
important.
finish. Let him finish.
Let me finish, Mr. Paulo. Let me finish. When you go to Bono region, we have asphalted Doma Hinkro Road, town roads in Bono region. When you go to Bono East, we have upgraded Pitogin Road, Warasu Road. When you go to Central region, we've constructed the Badriase Adiesu Road. When you go, and these are a number of roads. When you go to
I'm hoping region, like Kwame
we have dualized.
I hope
we have dualized
that these roads will stay this way even up to December.
When you go to Central region,
that's our hope and prayer.
I mean,
because we all know that
Greater Accra,
probably even before the elections there will be
Otano to
unfortunately
School Junction
I'm
Road.
familiar with these roads.
Otano to School Junction Road.
I use those roads all the time.
These roads, these are data. That is from the Ministry of Roads and Highways. And we've stated the number of kilometers that we have constructed. It's so much. And if you see, when you stay in Accra and you don't look at Northeast region, we have asphalted overlay and Nerugu.
You forget that our reporters are all over the country and they send us some of your own people,
in Yendi,
some of your own
roads
people
that have been constructed.
Sometimes get caught on these roads.
When you go to Oti
we
region,
have live footage of them.
Hohoi Dodo Pepeso roads, 56.4 kilometer road.
How long are these
we have Inkonya, Wurapong, Kwame Krom Road, all of that.
Savannah region. Shortly. Let's get into
construction of Binaji Fofosu Road, asphalt overlay of Damango. All of that.
I see you. We can't confirm what you're saying.
But these are accurate data.
Accurate.
This is
the same way.
This is from the Ministry of Roads. This is from the Ministry of Roads and Highways. Roads that have been completed between January 2017
the performance tracker. The same way a lot of things were accurate there.
These are roads that have been constructed.
It's not just about talking over people.
Oh no, but these are roads that have been constructed by the government of President Akufo-Addo.
The same way your performance tracker is riddled with mistakes. We can only take this with a grain of salt.
No, you can't take it with a grain of salt. We are very serious in this country.
But I thought this was the same paper you did. The New Finder News.
He just picked a few. He has two papers. I have only one.
Okay, so
we have
to go.
No, I'll just read the headlines. I mean, the New Finder: tourism rakes in 1.8 billion Ghana cedis. Yes, $1.8 billion between January to June 2024, compared to last year, which is $1.5 billion US. Dr. Amwa calls for patience amid economic proven. That's the Deputy Minister for Finance. The Balancing Act of Intelligence Agencies for Modern Democracies, Economies, Reverend Raphael Kane. And then he read the 8.2 billion SMEs. And I need to state emphatically that these SMEs that are coming, it's not for party cronies. It's for the Ghanaian people. It's going to be disbursed through the Development Bank, the Exim Bank, and the Ghana Enterprise Agencies for every single SME. 80% of the SMEs contribute significantly to Ghana's economy. CRAPA is calling for TOR and CENTO to have deeper partnership. Parliamentary Select Committee on Communication visits MTN. ECG engages DENU customers on billing, meter acquisition. After Secretariat and Africa 24 sign MOU to boost Africa's economic migration. Just reading the headlines, just so Ghanaians can know. Ghana's tourism sector is a promising path with the level of investment that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has made in there. NPA sensitizes communities on CRM and safe use of LPGs. And I think that Bishop Dakiwan Mills is having an Anakazo conference.
Well, gentlemen, this is where we're going to have to sew it up. For those of you who send in birthday messages, please keep them sweet, short. Some of them are so long and this and that and that. You can state your message very briefly. Happy birthday, Reverend Samuel Ewuku Jechi. We celebrate the birth of an exceptional gift and spiritual leaders. It goes on to talk about him, and through tough and challenging times, you have diligently preached the word of Christ. May you continue to move from glory to glory. And it's from the leadership and members of ICGC, the Royal Temple, Awoshi, Accra. ICGC, Royal Temple, Awoshi, Accra. Leadership and members, they are wishing you well, Reverend Samuel Ewuku Jechi. It's also from our very own Derek. Then, happy birthday to Mr. Stephen Joseph Ni Ado, Esquire of Legal Alliance Chambers, Chado. Age gracefully. And it's from our very own Listerwell sending in that one. I'll give you 20 seconds each, final comments. I'll start with you, Kwame. 20 seconds.
Well, just two. The tourism sector, I'm very happy about it. And I think it started around the time, I believe there was a time when Isaac Osei was in charge of tourism. And he did a good job there. And since then, things have picked up. And secondly, regarding the 8.2 billion SMEs, I think rather than just opening it up to everybody, let's just focus on, as I said before, the millennials and the Gen Zs. They are the future of this country. Everybody else has had their share of the cake. Let's focus on that age bracket, and I believe that Ghana will be on the path to permanent prosperity. All right. Paul Grave?
You know, I began with 2 Timothy 4:7, that I fought a good fight, I have finished the course, I have kept the faith. I'm very certain that at the end of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's tenure, these will be his words, that indeed he has fought a good fight, indeed he has finished the course, indeed he has kept the faith of developing this country.
You're a reverend, right?
I am. Indeed.
Okay. Kofi Akpalu.
You doubt that President
Kofi Akpalu.
Yeah.
Final words. No, I didn't say anything. No, but I just wanted confirmation that you were a reverend minister. You are a reverend minister, right?
I am, yes. Okay. I'm a reverend minister.
Kofi Akpalu, 20 seconds.
Okay, I'm also ending it with Acts chapter 2, verse 17. It says, in the last days, God says, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young men will see visions. Your old men will dream dreams. Where I'm interested is your young men see visions. It means every young person out there has a vision. So we need to build this country such that the young people with their visions will get the necessary support to become fruitful.
All right. Thank you very much, Kofi Akpalu. So that is Kofi Akpalu of the LPG. Then there is Kwame Botsu of the CPP. And of course, we had Paul Grave Wachidankwa, Dr. Paul Grave Wachidankwa of the NPP.